It was raining that morning, not a downpour, just a cold, steady drizzle that made everything feel a little heavier. I was already awake before the sun, staring at the cracked ceiling of my bedroom, listening to the creaks of footsteps above me. They didn't even bother whispering anymore. I heard the giggles. I heard my sister's voice say, "Should we put the candles in it or just leave it empty?" And then laughter. Cruel, casual, like the sound of teeth breaking. I didn't move from the mattress on the floor. No pillow, no blanket, no comfort. My back was sore from sleeping directly on the hardwood, and the duct tape around the corner of the window flapped quietly in the breeze. I was 23. It was my birthday. But birthdays don't mean anything in this house, not for me. The smell of pancakes came from the kitchen, syrup, cinnamon, and bacon. My stomach tightened. I couldn't remember the last time I had a full meal here. I sat up slowly and pulled on the same sweatshirt I wore yesterday, still damp from washing it in the sink. My son, Caleb, was still asleep next to me, his knees curled tight to his chest, thin arms wrapped around his teddy bear that was missing an ear. He'd asked me last night, "Will there be cake tomorrow, Mom?" I told him maybe. That was the best I could do. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. I tiptoed past him and opened the bedroom door. Immediately, my sister Brielle stood at the end of the hallway, smirking. She was in one of her glittery robes, hair wrapped up, holding a mug that said, "World's Favorite Daughter." "Oh, wow," she said, eyes scanning me like I was roadkill. "It's the birthday garbage. How festive." My mom was in the kitchen, wearing actual pearls, and pouring orange juice into a champagne glass. "Don't let her eat," she said, not even looking up. "We're saving the good stuff for dinner." I stood there quietly. I didn't speak. I didn't cry. I was used to it. But I noticed something. The trash can by the back door was open, and next to it was a large, unused black trash bag. Not full. Empty. Waiting. Something sank in my chest. Brielle twirled toward the living room where my dad sat watching reruns, not even glancing in my direction. I looked around for a plate, a piece of toast, a corner of an egg. There was nothing. "Go outside and sweep the porch," my mom said flatly. "It's not like you're doing anything useful inside." So I did. The broom had a cracked handle, but I gripped it tight. The front porch was already clean, but I swept it anyway. I counted the strokes. 1, 2, 3, 27. That's when the door creaked behind me. I turned, and there they were, Brielle, Mom, and Dad. My father was holding something behind his back. My mother was smiling in that way people smile when they're about to hurt something and call it discipline. "It's a family tradition," Brielle said sweetly. "You always said you wanted to be included." The rain had stopped, but the ground was soaked. They stepped onto the porch and surrounded me. My stomach twisted. My brain screamed, "Move!" But I didn't. My father pulled out the black trash bag. "Get in," Mom said. I thought she was joking. I stared at her. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. "Do you want us to do it for you?" Brielle snapped. "We'll shove you in ourselves." They backed me into the porch railing. My body froze. I could smell the chemical scent of the plastic bag. I looked to my father, hoping for something, some flicker of guilt. There was nothing. "Oh, strip," Mom added coldly. "It's your birthday. We want you to feel new. Clean slate, right?" "No," I whispered. "I said," she hissed, "strip." I didn't, so Brielle lunged. She yanked at my sweatshirt while my dad held my arms. My legs kicked. I tried to scream, but the sound was eaten by the rain-slick wind. And when I looked through the window beside the porch, I saw Caleb standing at the edge of the hallway, holding his bear. He saw me. They stuffed me in the trash bag. My knees scraped against the floor. The smell of mildew and plastic filled my lungs. My mom tied the top halfway so I could breathe, not for mercy, but because she wanted me to hear what she was going to say next. She leaned down, her lips close to my ear. "You're looking good there," she whispered. And then they dragged the bag down the porch steps. The cold soaked through the plastic. I could feel gravel under my knees, wet leaves stuck to my skin. They left me next to the green garbage bin at the end of the driveway. Like compost, like meat gone bad. A car passed. I held my breath. The wind moved the bag a little. The knot at the top was loose enough that I could see through a tear near my eye level. They went back inside. I lay there, soaked, shaking, bare. Caleb ran to the window and pressed his hand against the glass. He was crying. And something inside me, something I had buried deep for years, snapped. Not fear, not grief. It was fire. They didn't know it yet. But that trash bag? That was the last time they'd ever put me anywhere. Because when I stood up, when I peeled myself from the filth they threw me into, I wasn't just crawling back into the house. I was coming back for everything they'd ever built. I didn't go back inside. I didn't even look back at the house as I walked, barefoot and soaked, to the edge of the neighborhood. I waited until I was far enough down the hill that the porch lights disappeared behind me. A neighbor saw me, Mrs. Hadley, the woman with the ceramic frogs in her yard. She opened her door a crack, saw me in that torn trash bag, and slowly closed it again. No one helps girls like me, especially not the ones their own families put out with the garbage. But I wasn't looking for help. I was looking for silence, strategy. That night, I found an abandoned trailer half a mile out behind an overgrown gas station that shut down before Caleb was born. I broke in through the side. It smelled like old fuel and loneliness, but it was dry. I wrapped Caleb in my sweater, held him close, and whispered stories to him until he fell asleep. I didn't sleep. I thought. I planned. I remembered everything they said to me growing up, every word my mom threw like knives, every time my dad said I was a waste of skin, every smirk Brielle gave me when she got a new coat while I wore holes. And then I remembered what they cared about most: appearance, legacy, their precious reputation. So I started small. I walked back into town the next morning, found the thrift shop where I used to volunteer before they banned me at my mom's request. I offered to clean their warehouse in exchange for a backpack and a prepaid flip phone. The owner, Lorna, looked at me like I was dirt until I scrubbed every square inch of that place spotless. She gave me the phone. I used it once to make a call to a number I wasn't supposed to know. Uncle Greg, my mom's brother, the one who'd been cut off from the family for reasons they never explained. He answered after 2 rings. "You sound like your mother," he said, flat. "I'm not," I told him. "That's why I'm calling." There was a pause, then a sigh. "You finally ready to talk about what she did to you?" I was. I told him everything. The trash bag, the years before it, the way she raised me to be the scapegoat so Brielle could be the golden girl. And then he told me something that shifted everything. "The deed to the house is still under Grandma's trust. Your mom never transferred it. She faked a signature." I stopped breathing for a second. "You're saying—" "I'm saying," he continued, "if someone challenged that with proof, and submitted a report to the state about the welfare of a minor being endangered, well, let's just say the trust wouldn't be renewed. The house would revert. To me. They'd lose everything. But I didn't act yet. First, I needed them comfortable, cocky. So I went back. I returned 3 days later, not to move in, but to stand across the street in a hoodie, watching as they laughed on the porch. My mom sipping wine, Brielle holding her new purse up for selfies, Dad grilling steaks. I smiled, because I'd already left a letter in the mailbox. A letter with no name, no fingerprints, no trace. Just the line. "You left the wrong one in the trash." And that was just the beginning. They didn't respond to the letter. Not out loud. But I could tell it rattled them. 2 days after I dropped it, my mom stopped posting her wine glass photos. Brielle deleted her birthday queen posts that had me blurred in the background face down on the porch. And my dad? He started locking the mailbox like someone was coming for something. They were right. But I wasn't rushing. I wanted them confident. I wanted them to keep bragging to neighbors about their beautiful family and how grateful they were to have just the one daughter who turned out right. Because every lie they told publicly was going to taste like vinegar when the truth snapped back. I started spending time with Uncle Greg in private. He helped me get a cheap lawyer who specialized in estate fraud. Nothing flashy, just a quiet man with thick glasses and a deep hatred for forged documents. I had my mom's old emails, screenshots from when she bragged to her friend Lisa about tricking the system and signing in place of that old witch to get the house finally in our name. It was enough. The lawyer filed 2 things on my behalf. 1, a challenge to the deed based on fraud which would freeze all transfers and flag the property for investigation. 2, a report to CPS with photos of my injuries from the trash bag, testimony from Uncle Greg about years of emotional abuse, and a list of neighbors who had witnessed my son being excluded, insulted, and left outside in storms while Brielle's dog slept on a heated pad. But that wasn't the revenge. That was just the match. The fire came next. I visited the house one last time, not to go in, just to watch from the sidewalk. I waited until it was sunset golden, quiet, just enough breeze to carry voices. I had Caleb with me. I held his hand tight as we stood across the street in the hoodie I first wore when I left. My mom stepped onto the porch, wine glass in hand. She saw me. And for the first time in my life, she looked afraid. She opened her mouth to say something, maybe to threaten, maybe to lie, but the mail truck turned down the block at that exact moment. The driver stopped at their mailbox, slid something in. My mom froze. Brielle came outside and asked, "What's wrong?" But she didn't answer. She just walked to the mailbox, slowly, opened it, and saw the envelope with her name. Inside, not court documents, not CPS files, not bank orders, just a photo. One photo. It was me. Inside the trash bag. Eyes red, plastic torn, knees bleeding, date and timestamp in the corner. And across the top of the image, printed in her own handwriting from an old birthday card she gave Brielle years ago, one I'd found in the basement after they left me outside. "You deserve the best the world has to offer." I had copied her exact writing style and pasted it over that photo, because now the world would see what she thought the best looked like. And I made sure that same photo was mailed to 5 other people: her church pastor, her work manager, her neighborhood HOA board, her old college friend she tried to impress on Facebook, and a local nonprofit she volunteered at every spring, the one that specialized in uplifting struggling mothers. She didn't know who sent them. She only knew they got them. She only knew they knew. Within a week, her job suspended her pending investigation. The church rescinded her invite to speak at the charity banquet. The HOA sent a public letter demanding she resign from the social committee. Brielle was dumped by her fiancé after he saw the story on a neighborhood gossip page. He wrote, "If this is what your family does to their own, I don't want to see what you do to mine." And my dad? He lost the house, because the trust was revoked. The title flipped back to Grandma's estate. And Grandma? She'd left a clause, one hidden line that only triggered in the case of fraud. In the event of illegal transfer, rights shall revert to the blood descendant who last resided on the property without ownership. That was me. I didn't kick them out. I let the state seize it. They got 72 hours. And when they drove away, I stood in the driveway with Caleb beside me, both of us wearing clean clothes, watching them load Brielle's glitter bags and my dad's old trophies into a borrowed van. My mom didn't say a word. But as she stepped into the car, she looked back at the porch. And I could see it in her eyes, not confusion, not anger, but something she never expected to feel for me. Fear. And just before the door shut, I walked over to the trash bins by the curb, lifted the lid, pulled out a brand new black trash bag, held it up, and smiled, because some things are better returned exactly how you found them. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.